So this shiny wee bugger here, the Nothing Phone 3A, is still one of my absolute favourite smartphones around that sort of £300 to £400 price point. In fact, it's so bloody lovely that I chucked it my best mid-range phone award in this year's Spurties, and I'd actually rate it as one of the best things to happen in 2025, right after James Cockwomble Corden buggering back off to Trumpland again. And now, as a sort of special early Christmas present, Call & Co have tossed out the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition, which was designed in collaboration with a few of their fans. So if it's shit, it'll be them getting all the flack on Reddit. This special edition blower will cost you £379. And as with the previous Community Edition smartphone, only 1,000 of them will be produced in total. So if you fancy one, you'll have to be faster than the Roadrunner with 10 tons of TNT bunged up his bird hole. You can register your interest right now. The limited sale will commence on Nothing's website on Friday the 12th of December, and apparently there'll be some units in stock in the Soho store in London on the 13th. I think that's all the admin-y bollocks, so let's crack on, get this thing whipped out and have a proper good squint at what's new about the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe, ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So as you can see, the Community Edition is actually a box within a box, very posh. You can see there the outer sleeve celebrates the 5 fans who were involved in the creation of the Community Edition. Ambrosio, oh it just makes me want Ambrosia Devon custard. Jad, Louis, Emre and Shashruta. Sorry if I mauled any of those, I can barely speak English. And if we pop that phone box out, got a wee bit more chat about the Community Edition there. I can't be asked to read all that out, so just freeze frame or whatever if you want to check it out. And then the actual phone box, pretty similar to the original 3A box. And then the insides of the box, basically the same as the original 3A, except again slightly different blurb. So you have one Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition. You've got yourself a Nothing branded USB Type-C to Type-C cable. You got the usual wee transparent pokey pin jobby, and a QR code if you actually want to check out that quick start guide. And that is your lot. Exciting times, ladies and gentlemen. And I think if you buy the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition, you also get a box of 6 dice bundled with it. Not really sure why. I guess it sort of ties into Nothing's recent theme of bringing back classic games like Spin the Bottle and Rock Paper Scissors and the Magic 8 Ball on the Nothing Phone 3. So if you get bored of blasting strangers' kneecaps off in PUBG, you can have a nice little game of Yahtzee instead. Now sadly, the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition isn't glow in the dark like the Nothing Phone 2A Plus Community Edition, but to be honest, I think this one looks a bit better. You've got this lovely finish in frosted teal. I think I may actually even prefer it to the original and still rather stunning blue model of the Nothing Phone 3A. But of course, your Uncle Spurt, renowned for having absolutely all taste, so definitely let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Which one wins, blue or teal? And can immediately notice a different texture here on the Community Edition as well. You've got a lovely smooth glass finish here on the Nothing Phone 3A. As the Community Edition, it's got a slightly rougher texture. Something feels more plasticky, but as you can see there, you've got the same transparent finish. Those screws less prevalent here on the Community Edition, and you've got some more colour highlighting inside as well, some pink and yellow and orange. And same goes for that AI button wedged over on that right edge, which I might occasionally accidentally poke, expected it to be the power button. And this is now bright pink, which you might think would help to differentiate it from the power button, but not really if you're just kind of blindly groping for it. The volume buttons are still black, boring. And of course, the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition is still a big bugger, to put it mildly, with a near 6.8-inch screen surrounded by not particularly skinny bezels. And once again, IP64 dust and splash resistant, no change there. Now, you don't get Nothing OS 4 slapped on here just yet. It is still Nothing OS 3. As usual, you get a choice between a stock Android kind of visual style, otherwise going full on Nothing with all the dot matrixy shenanigans. So here's hoping it gets that update to Nothing OS version 4 and Android 16 soon. And I'm assuming that the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition will get the same 3 OS updates and 6 years of security patching support, same as the original Nothing Phone 3A. Certainly Nothing hasn't said otherwise if it's any different. And for the community edition, you've got yourself a fresh new lock screen as well, with a new clock widget and a new background. But if you dive on into the customization, you can tweak this if you like. Gotta say, I rather like that blue background, which is a match for the arse end. You've actually got a choice of two blue wallpapers, which look like two separate halves of the same image, basically. So you've got the original here, and then this is the other half. You've also got the option of having either of those in purple instead. And I'm also intrigued by the names of these wallpapers as well, because you give this eye a wee tap up front. You'll see the first one's called A and Left. The purple version of it is A and Right, and then the other two are B and Left and B and Right. This sounds like some sort of video game cheat code to me, although I'm not familiar with that particular one. But if you happen to have any clue what that's all about, again, definitely let us know down in the comments. And a new clock design for the old quick look as well. I really like the animation. You can see it sort of fattens as the phone wakes up. And of course, try not to blub, but the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition will likely be the final Nothing phone to actually come with a bit of Glyph lighting. Unless it happens to make a glorious return for the Nothing Phone 4A, but it certainly feels like Nothing is steering away from this design now, which it, to be fair, has been using for a few years now. The rest of the software exactly as usual, so no surprises there. Oh, and the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition only available with 256 gigs of storage, unlike the original Nothing Phone 3A, which did have a 128 gig offering that was a little bit cheaper, 329, but as I say, 379 for the Community Edition, so it's the same price as the 256 gig Nothing Phone 3A. And the rest of the hardware identical to the original Nothing Phone 3A. So you've once again got a mighty 6.77 inch AMOLED display, Full HD+, 120Hz refresh. You've got stereo speaker setup as well. And now it's powered by the same Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 chipset, backed here by 12 gigs of RAM, so the everyday running nice and smooth. The likes of PUBG and Call of Duty Mobile run absolutely fine, and even more demanding fare like Wuthering Waves are surprisingly playable, although you will experience a fair few judders here and there. You certainly won't want to boost up the graphics anymore. But yeah, you can get them on the go if you want, while the vapor chamber helps to keep the Nothing Phone 3A cooler than a penguin's fun bag. And you got the same 5000 mAh capacity battery stuffed inside of that gorgeous teal frame. Certainly not one of the grandest, most impressive battery capacities in 2025. I certainly found in my testing of the original Nothing Phone 3A that's more than good enough for 7 to 8 hours of screen on time per day on a single charge. Lots and lots of camera play, all that good stuff. The Snapdragon's pretty energy efficient anyway. And if you do need to juice it up a wee bit, you've got 50-watt wired charging as well, which ain't too shabby for a mid-ranger. No wireless charging though. And naturally, it's the exact same camera hardware slapped on that arse end as well, headed up by a 50 meg Samsung GN9 sensor. You've also got yourself a basic telephoto shooter slapped on here, which is pretty rare for this sort of price point. It uses a 50 meg JN5 sensor, and you've got 2x optical zoom. And last up, you've got a basic 8 megapixel ultra wide angle shooter. And I found when I originally reviewed the Nothing Phone 3A and compared it with the Nothing Phone 3A Pro that it performed really well across a range of conditions, certainly for this price bracket. But anyway, I won't bang on about the camera, the specs, or anything else in this video. If you want to know more about the Nothing Phone 3A in general, definitely go check out that review and that comparison with the Pro model. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition. As I say, only 1,000 of these buggers are apparently going to be produced, so do not hang about if you fancy one. But definitely let us know what you think of the Community Edition down in the comments below. Are you tempted? Is teal the new king colour? Can we expect other smartphones in this hue in 2026? I certainly bloody hope so. Please do subscribe, ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everybody, love you!